This is something so many people, businesses, everyone is affected by it.
Sarah Anderson.
Chuck Braun.
Joe Russillo.
Bakery sales for sure have dropped.
I'm probably more exposed than most normal people who are just kind of in their houses and working from home.
I think that this pandemic has showed us why we like to live where we live. I'm Chuck Braun. I work as part of a company called Dwelling in Maine Real Estate, a small local real estate company founded by Victoria Condon. There are 4 of us, and we sell real estate throughout Mid-Coast Maine. The pandemic has had a couple of really profound effects on Mid-Coast Maine. I think one of the reasons that people live in Mid-Coast Maine is they want to be part of a downtown. Downtown Camden, downtown Rockland, the smaller towns, walking downtown, sitting in a coffee shop, going to a restaurant, spending time out and about with your friends. Those things have been profoundly impacted, and I don't know that we even know the ramifications of that yet. I do think most of us have done the best we can to not be socially isolated, to stay in touch virtually, to stay in touch by phone. But there definitely have been impacts on the local community.
You just see how slow it is down here during the day. People might be walking by prior to this and grabbing a slice or something, but I'm not even cooking slices anymore because there's nobody walking around downtown. We're just doing small pizzas and large pizzas to order.
I think that this pandemic has showed us why we like to live where we live. Here in Mid-Coast Maine, we're not a huge population center. Today I was able to go and walk outside on Drifton Beach and be the only person there. There are places you can hike, there are places you can walk.
Camden is it's a seasonal town, right? So in the summertime, we have lots of people who are here visiting. We have people who are just summer residents, and so the population swells in the summertime, and it's busy here. In fact, I try not to drive downtown in the summertime because it's just the traffic is crazy, and there are so many pedestrians, and people love Camden. They love the Mid-Coast area. There's so much to do here, and there has so much to offer that I think people really appreciate. In the wintertime, when it goes back down to our kind of year-round normal population, it's fairly deserted. Stores are still open, obviously most of them, and there's still some people moving around in cars, but it's quiet. It's even quieter now than it is typically in the wintertime, and certainly for this time of year, April, May, where we're starting to get some people coming in and enjoying the springtime. But it's deserted. It's a little odd to see. We've been here 17 years, and I've never seen it this deserted and this quiet.
So you can safely socially distance and still not be totally isolated. At the same time, we are a tight-knit community. We check on our neighbors, we call our neighbors. If somebody needs something, there's 1 or 2 or 3 volunteers more than willing to go shopping for somebody or pick up the mail. So the pandemic, like many difficult situations in life, has brought out a lot of people's true character, and I think more often than not, that's been a positive and not a negative.
You know, it's a day-to-day thing. I did not want to close businesses as such. I did not want to interrupt the flow of people's lives more than absolutely necessary. But then, you know, in the last week, it has become necessary. And I've been talking to the congressional delegation. I've been talking with the president and the vice president of the United States on phone calls, I think 3 or 4 times in the last 7 days. I've been talking with the other governors to see what they're coping with.
This pandemic has changed our way of operations as to the point that we have never actually closed to customer traffic before, and we decided a few weeks ago to do so. So we are just doing curbside pickup and delivery service only, when no customers are allowed to shop in the store. That's definitely changed because every order comes in, our employees, including myself, are jumping in to do the groceries for them, and they are picking them up curbside. So it's changed in a lot of ways the way our customers, we don't interact with them so much anymore.
Well, because of the pandemic, we can't have our doors open to the public, so we can't let people in the store. So now we can only offer curbside pickup. So if somebody wants to call and place an order and come pick it up, or we could ship it or deliver it locally. We have been reduced to running our business like that.
When this virus came about, we cut back on our staff. If staff didn't feel well, we made sure that they didn't come in, and they took off for at least until they felt better. No one had a fever, but if they had a fever, we would have told them not to come back for 14 days. And what we had to do was we got shut down and had to be only takeout or delivery. And so people were coming in and picking up their food at the counter. But as of last night, the governor has requested that people do not come in. So we're just doing deliveries, and we're doing curbside service where people are paying over the phone. So there's even less interaction.
Well, it's affected my business in the short term in that I think it's actually had a positive effect on my business in that I've been behind on a number of projects for quite a while. My schedule before the pandemic hit and before we were ordered to stay in our homes and it was mostly meetings and a little bit of administrative time and then very little production time. So we'd spend a lot of time in meetings, talk about all the work that needed to be produced, and I didn't have time to then go ahead and produce it. So because of the pandemic, my schedule has switched to more production time and fewer meetings, which has actually been good for me. I'm getting out projects that have been way behind. So in the short term, it's been a positive thing for me to have fewer meetings and more time to get back into production and get projects out the door. In the long term, however, the concern would be that as the summer approaches, a lot of my business is dependent upon people coming from out of town, from other states who come to the Mid-Coast Maine area and want to buy a piece of land and build a house, or buy a house and renovate it. And so if those people don't come for the summer, then it means a potential reduction in my work in those areas. It also means longer term that local people who perhaps have lost their jobs, filed for unemployment, they might not have either the money or the confidence to be able to renovate their home. So I might lose work in that respect. And then finally, businesses who are now shut down and going through difficult times and have to lay people off, they may not have the money to do improvements to their businesses either. So in the short term, it's had a positive effect for me to be able to really get back on top of my to-do list and get projects out the door. The long term is what I'm concerned about.
Never seen anything like it in my lifetime. It's definitely been challenging. We're struggling about the idea to open back to customer traffic. Right now we're going to wait until May 1st for sure. We've made that decision, but it's definitely probably the most challenging time as a store owner to just figure out what the best way to go forward is for the safety of our employees as well as our family.
The star on top of Mount Batty has been around for 54 years. On Monday morning, April 6th of this year, 2020, they finally got permission to light it during the pandemic. It'll continue until the pandemic's over, and it lights every night around 7 p.m. Historically, the star is only lit during holiday season, which is Thanksgiving Day through New Year's Eve. In no part of history of the 54 years has it been lit at other times.